Sure if I did. Yeah, now it's recording. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh.
So, I'm Dan with Mulderville. I'm here with Domenico and Lee, behind
Yes.
the two of the members of the star of the Lonely Italian and the producer of the movie.
No, writer-director.
You
Sorry,
wrote it?
writer-director.
Shut up!
Okay.
You wrote it too.
Here, talking about their movie, The Lonely Italian, which is playing at the San Diego International Film Fest at Horn Plaza this weekend. I've already had a chance to see the movie. My partner here, Nadia, has not seen it yet. She's going to see it today. We're going to kind of talk about the movie with Domenico and Lee about how the movie came about. So, Domenico, how did the movie come about? How did you guys come up with the idea for the movie?
Well, being a very charming Italian dater, I've been dating lots of women in America. And I was very successful with women also because I had a bunch of reality shows on MTV. So I had a lot of women that used to go out with me so they could tell their friends that we're going out with somebody from TV, I guess. But at a certain point, after the 15 minutes of fame faded away, I had to deal with reality. And reality was a little different than what it used to be when I came here 12 years ago, where I realized that I wasn't able to approach girls anymore, to date anymore in a traditional way, because all the people I would approach in coffee shops, bars, restaurants, they were all attached to their cell phones, computers, and that's when I said to myself, wait a minute, I think there is something weird going on with technology and dating. And then I started researching all these, and I realized that there are 60 million people in America that use as an app or an online dating websites to date. And I started dating online myself to see how it was, and I discovered an unbelievable, crazy world. And that's when I said to myself, this is a great idea to make a movie. And that's when I approached this guy here.
So for 11 years, I was the writer and co-executive producer of the show The Soup on E!
Okay.
And we used to make fun of this guy when he had his own reality show on MTV.
It's a great show.
Somehow, and he was always a good sport, and he was always naturally funny. And then his, like he said, his 15 minutes were up. He stretched it to about 16 and a half.
That doesn't count the talent shows I did.
No, that's separate. That's separate.
In America, 16 minutes.
I'm talking about America, where it matters.
No, you're right. 16 minutes, he's right.
So he somehow got my number, and he approached me. I would like to talk to you about a very exciting project. So I ran screaming. And then my wife, who is kind of my conscience, said, don't be a schmuck. Listen to this guy and see what he has to say. So he told me basically everything that he just told you about online dating, and that Domenico is basically an idiot. But he showed up.
A smart idiot.
But he's probably the smartest idiot you'll ever meet.
You're right.
And he showed up with this packet of research. It was very semi-professional. It had graphs and charts, and the English was basically coherent. I was like, wow. And he was telling me about online dating, and I had been married at that point for 7 years, so I didn't know much about online dating, about all the different websites and things like that. And so he had said, so I think this would be a very good documentary, and I want to do, we will interview people on the street, and we'll talk about how online dating started. And I said, that sounds really interesting. I'd love to watch it. He says, you would not want to do this? And I said, well, you are so funny. You're so naturally funny.
Very funny.
That I think what would be great is if it was a personal journey for you. If you actually joined all these websites that you're talking about, even the fringy ones, the niche ones, the ones that you don't belong on, J-Date, Farmers Only, and
Catholic Match.
Catholic Match is the one that you do belong, the only one.
I know.
But black singles and Muslim dating and Date Me, Date My Pet and 420 dating for pot smokers.
And the vegan one.
And the vegan one.
Yeah.
So, and just have you join every single one, and we'll follow you, and we'll just see what happens. All it's going to cost us is the cost of a date. And so we basically made this movie backwards. We said, all right, we have no script. Let's just start filming, and we'll see what happens. And that's what we did. He joined every dating website in America, and it took a year to amass all these dates, because it's hard enough to get people to go out with him without agreeing to being filmed, but we did it.
Thousands of women we approached a week, and they didn't want to unveil their private life. So women didn't want to be on camera because online dating, it's considered, I would say, stigma. There's a stigma
about online dating, or there was when we started a couple years ago. Now it's a little more open. Tinder is kind of unfortunately, reared its ugly head.
So, but it's a zoo out there. When you date online, you discover an unbelievable zoo, and it's extremely interesting at the same time because every single need and niche out there has its own websites to, be eventually able to marry the person of their lives, which is exactly like them, pretty much.
So what we did was we filmed these dates. It took about a year to amass, dozens and dozens of dates, and then we said, okay, what do we have here? And we basically arranged the dates in kind of a story arc, and said, all right, what feels like this is the beginning? What feels like things are going well? Where does it feel like the bottom's dropping out? And then wrote a script that connects all those dates into a story.
Right, so it's kind of half reality, half scripted.
Yeah,
I think is how I read about it.
It's a true hybrid documentary narrative. So we don't. It's a challenge to kind of explain the movie because people want to just be able to say what type of film is it. So we just like saying it's a comedy.
Yeah,
it's a comedy. It's very relevant for
the way the online dating world is nowadays.
Exactly. And and then people say, oh well, so it's like Borat. Well, Borat is an actor playing a character. Unfortunately, this is what he's really like.
Which is great.
He's an actor playing himself.
Basically,
I'm very lovable. I'm actually very lovable. People
if you don't have to be around you too much, you're incredibly lovable.
Right.
I want to shoot myself, but this is what happens.
4 years, because it took us a little bit to make the movie.
It took us a long time.
It took us, because we had to go through the shooting process. Mm-hmm. Then we started putting
two different shooting processes, and
shot the dates. We shot the scripted part.
Yeah,
we had to go through a Kickstarter campaign, which we had a successful one.
Yeah, we basically paid for the dates from our own pocket and with volunteers and people. We found our crew on Craigslist and things like that. And then when we had enough dates, we were able to make a sizzle reel on Kickstarter and raise money for the scripted portion, which we shot like a real movie with a big crew and actual cameras that.
That's when you felt good about yourself.
That's when I was like, we're making a real movie. It
wasn't guerrilla style anymore, it was an actual movie.
That's when it was an actual movie. So it's been a long journey, but we're excited. And this is San Diego's, this is kind of our premiere.
Yeah.
And they've been incredibly supportive.
Very
so we're excited to show it in front of an audience, because that's rare for small independent films.
But we do have a lot of interest coming out of the United States, I guess, because we are on video on demand now, so people are renting our movie on Amazon, on iTunes, and we are having great results. But as we're waiting to sell it in the States, we're already selling it out of the States, and we have a bunch of countries that are already actually buying the movie based on the nature of the movie, as they want to make it a Valentine's Day movie because of the dating subject.
Yeah, because online dating, even though we're in the middle of the heat wave of online dating here in America, it's just starting to take off in other countries. So we're, for the first time, we're actually on the cutting edge somewhere. Not here in America, but elsewhere. So, but it's interesting because the movie is very funny and it's very silly, but the interest in other countries is coming from places like the Discovery Channel. And things that are
Learning
more
Channel, TLC. Those are the networks we're talking.
Things that are more kind of reality based, and because for them, internationally, it's a little bit more of a human interest story than here where it's kind of taken as.
They don't have the variety of websites that are in the States,
right?
Unfortunately, but it's growing there too.
Yeah.
So,
Now, I've already seen the movie. So, what was your most memorable date on the movie?
It's funny because out of all the crazy websites we explore, you would get the craziest people from the normal dating websites. It's like on OkCupid, we met a girl Indian girl actually, that she likes to date men, and part of her dating thing is to cut them and suck their blood. Like, you go on a date and you have a woman that cuts you off and suck your blood out of your veins. And this is from a normal dating website. So I don't know if I can forget that.
Right. But then we had some of the crazy dating websites where we met very normal women.
You're right.
Yeah.
So that definitely, the 420 dating site, I don't smoke, and to be stoned on camera, that was amazing. They had to drive me home because it was so stoned. 2 hours of smoking marijuana.
Yeah.
When you don't smoke. And you got to do it for the purpose of the movie, because it's I'm exploring all the websites simply for the reason, and I think the reason only, is because there shouldn't be any limit to love. Shouldn't be like, just because I'm Catholic I can't date a Jewish lady, or just because I don't smoke marijuana I shouldn't go on marijuana dating websites. So we use all these websites because there shouldn't be any limits to love.
Yeah. And there's kind of a, even though it's a silly comedy, there is a message in there, which is that you can, in this day and age of interconnectivity, you can stack the deck in your favor as much as possible using all the technology at your disposal. But at the end of the day, that elusive thing called love is not going to find you until the universe, fate, God, whatever, decides it's time.
Exactly.
So that's, if there is a message among all his blood sucking and ass slapping and pot smoking, whatever,
And fire,
and
lighting.
getting lit on fire, and and
Throwing lunch meat in the river.
throwing lunch meat in the river, and that whole thing, it's that, and I hope that resonates with people.
Yeah.
Now, I know you said it took about a year. When did you guys actually start the idea of this movie?
We met, I think, May of 13,
Yep.
and then we actually started
October.
filming October
15.
exactly 4 years ago.
4 years.
So I think it was, so that's why he, at the beginning of the movie, looked so much younger and more full of life.
And I had more hair
And
here.
had more hair.
And
My
he had
hair was
black full on, and now it's fully
gray.
white.
Yeah.
So you can blame your gray hair on Domenico.
Oh, and the nervous tick in my eye and everything.
And you get a little more weight too, because you're chubbier than
That's
you
because
used
I
to.
hang out with so many Italians,
You're right.
drinking wine, eating the pasta.
Yeah.
So
We did age bad, unfortunately.
but so October of 13 to about October of 14, we did the dates.
Okay.
Then we shut down for about 6 months to do the Kickstarter and write the script that connected, edit all those dates together, write the
Kickstarter
script.
was August of 2014.
Oh, okay. So
I
we did the
remember
dates.
that.
So
It
we
was
did
an
the dates from October to August of 14. October 13 to August of 14. And we shut down for 6 months to do the script,
Yep.
edit everything, do the Kickstarter.
Then was February of 2015.
February 15 is when we shot the scripted stuff, and then spent, probably the next year editing, honing it. I mean, it was definitely a learning curve with this kind of, like we were saying, this hybrid documentary narrative, because he's real and the dates in the movie are real. So we actually had a lot more scripted scenes initially that I was very upset that we had to take out. They were really funny, but ultimately, we had to it was a long process of getting feedback from the audience where they would say, some of those scripted scenes are kind of taking me out of it a little bit because it makes me question whether the other stuff is real. And I know the other stuff is real, so you don't want to, tip that too much.
Yeah, you don't want it. People see the scripted part and think it's all scripted.
Exactly.
That is-
Yeah.
And then the movie doesn't work at that point.
Yeah.
It's, that's the novelty, is that this stuff is real. So there's a lot of great stuff that was on the cutting room floor. And it wasn't until we really got the movie down to, this great time. I think our first cut was maybe like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And now it's like this perfect 84 minutes where it just moves and it's the right balance of scripted and documentary. And just once we did that, something just clicked. And now it's, and now it's really hitting its stride with audiences, which is
And
nice.
by this rate, we're probably by the end of our life gonna make another 2 movies, because it's taking like 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
each movie. So you have 2 movies left.
It's true. Better make it count.
That would be
Yeah,
it.
you said there was a ton of stuff that got on the cutting room floor. Is there a plan to release that at all, like on a DVD or?
Yeah, so right now our distribution model is, it's iTunes, video on demand.
Right.
I think they're releasing a DVD, but they're not, but our distributor isn't making a big deal because not many people buy that anymore. I would love for there to be like a real Blu-ray with deleted scenes and commentary, because we have so much to say about the movie. That's what's interesting, is when people see it, they're like, it's so funny, but I have so many questions, because the story of how we made it and our experiences and our adventures is almost as much fun as the movie itself.
I think personally a commentary would be good to hear you actually talking about the movie as you're watching it, because I could see that being a fun thing to listen to.
Yeah.
And my English got way better within the last 4 years than when we started.
Oh my God. Couldn't understand a
12
word.
years ago was so-so. Then 4 years ago I started picking up on the English, and now we're good.
This is Domenico Nesci from show of Theatrical from
And my own show, That's
TV.
Amore.
And my own show, That's Amore. We are making a movie called The Lone Italian.
It was.
And I would have to say, no, The Lonely Italian.
He doesn't
Say
understand
it,
this
Say it
stuff.
slowly, enunciate. You need to do a radio interview yesterday.
did.
I was freaking out.
On a country music station, which apparently is huge in San Diego. Who
That's
knew?
right, great.
The pop was the good music station here, but country.
No, country.
Yeah, well, we're a military town, so a lot of out-of-towners.
There you
Yeah,
go.
a lot of people move to California, so yeah, being that we have 3 big military bases here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what a lot of it is.
Yeah.
So I know you said some media demand. Is that going to expand to a theatrical release? Are there plans for that at all?
Hopefully. I mean, you know, unfortunately, that's not how small movies like ours are consumed these days, even though from our own test screenings and hopefully from our premiere today, our experience is that with an audience, I mean, people are laughing beginning and end, and it's so great.
We did a screen and audience test, like in front of 330 people, which they all laughed from the first until the last. Their reaction was amazing, and I think we're gonna have the same thing today.
I hope so. Yeah, but unfortunately, you know, when we were kind of showing this to test audiences, you know, in our living room or whatever, we get like college kids and stuff like that. And it's like, oh my God, this movie's so great. This is so funny. We're like, great. So would you see it in the theater? They said, absolutely not. We're like, why not? They said, because if I'm going to spend $15 to see a movie, it's going to be a Marvel movie. It's going to be a big thing.
It's actually close to $20. That's how long you haven't been to a
I
movie
guess.
theater.
I have kids.
It's
I
almost
can.
$20.
I saw Minions. That's a, you know.
But it's easier to watch it on your couch and
Yeah,
spend
that's
$5,
how-
$4.99 and
That's
watch
how
it.
people are seeing movies. I would love for people to see this in the theater.
I think a lot of
you
movies
know.
are going to have the same issues, except that ours is a lower budget movie than a lot of other movies.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the future of movies.
Mhm.
It's video on demand.
Yeah, that's true. So we have to respect that and hope that audiences will find it.
Yeah, but it's also bringing the
regardless.
movie to a lot of countries. They can rent our movie in 50 countries right now on iTunes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the flick of a switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just, if they say, hey, this looks interesting, then we just rent this. And
I mean,
boom.
we saw people watching the movie in Moldova and Singapore, and like, why? And how do they know
In
about
Zimbabwe,
Yeah, no,
and
it's
yeah.
insane.
Now, what do you two have planned next? Now that this is wrapped up and already making its theatrical or in film and VOD or VOD on demand, what do you have next?
Well, I realize that I like the documentary world. I like, even though this is not a documentary because it's a movie, it's a comedy, but I realize that I like to do some sort of a Michael Moore-ish type of movies with social matters. So I'm working on something that has to do with fears in America now. I'm still basically making it into an actual, let's say, how can I say,
Like a pitch.
not like a pitch. I'm working on a
Concept?
on the concept,
Okay.
basically, where there are a lot of fears in America that I think that had to do with the last election and blah blah blah. So I will have to explore those fears as I just became an American citizen, because I think that something went wrong with the last election somehow.
Congratulations,
I
by the
know.
way.
And I will love to see how those fears played in this last past election, and go from state to state across America and explores these fears through American people.
And I mostly work in television, writing, directing, and producing. So hopefully going to be directing more episodic television. And I just wrote a TV show about my father, who is one of the world's foremost photographers of nude women. So it's a very
It's amazing.
very silly, very personal, autobiographical thing that hopefully will be coming soon.
Anything else you want to tell our viewers about the movie?
Just rent it.
Yeah, rent it or
Lonely
buy it.
Italian.
Why rent it? Buy it.
They don't have $12.99. It's just rent it. You save the money.
No, listen.
$4.99.
The great thing is
Save
this,
$8.
this movie has layers. You will find more and more funny things the
That
more
is
time
true.
you watch.
That is
and
true.
you rent it, you only have 48 hours.
Where do
but
they
you
rent them?
buy it,
If I buy it,
then you can really
He's very greedy about money.
dive and explore the multifaceted. No.
Go on thelonelyitalian.com.
TheLonelyItalian.com has all the links to iTunes, Amazon, Voodoo, YouTube, and all that. And then your local cable company is video on demand as well.
Is that, are we on DirecTV too?
Sure.
Maybe, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, I just want to thank you guys and your readers for supporting independent film and giving a movie made by nobodies and starring nobody.
No stars, no name director.
A chance, because that's it's harder and harder as it gets easier and easier to physically make a movie. It gets harder and harder to get your movie seen.
Right, to get the eyes actually on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you guys covering us, and we're so happy to be here at the festival with other like-minded filmmakers and the people that run this festival.
That's a great festival.
Incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
The best we've been.
Yeah.
Well, and the weather's perfect too.
That's
Yeah, it's a little bit warm, but it's still, compared to the rest of the country, a lot better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, Domenico and Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.